Social media has given me lots of run-in instances with people who are, some would say brutally honest, but I think the correct word is just mean. I've come across a lot of people who have really made me feel like I'm not worth a dime, like I'm not worth anything to anybody. It's given me lots of self-image issues with the way that certain apps like body changer apps or stuff like that make other people look. When you compare yourself to your natural body, it's given me body issues and really just sent me into deep depression before, but it's also given me major anxiety because I've had people threaten me before. I've had people say just horrific things that they would do to me, and I think it just has increased my anxiety over the years.
A lot of the times through pictures in social media, people might post something saying like this is their natural look or this is how they look all the time, when that's not true. A lot of the times people use different lightings and different makeups and different filters to make themselves look better than how they would naturally. Like a lot of the time with workout physiques, what can like make a lot of people feel self-conscious about their body is seeing like these guys that have like perfect abs and very defined muscles, but in reality that's just the way that they have the lighting set up and it's perfect lighting.
Social media is a growing problem in today's society, particularly amongst young people. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, there were nearly 46,000 suicides in the US alone in 2020, with 14 people per 100,000 taking their own lives. Young adults aged 10 to 24 accounted for 11 of these suicides, making suicide the second leading cause of death. Overusing social media can pose a significant risk, especially among girls. A 10-year study at BYU found that teenage girls who spent 2 to 3 hours daily on social media at age 13 were at a higher risk for suicide as young adults. The researchers concluded that girls and women are more sensitive to negative feedback, comparisons to others, and lack of online connections, while boys tend to focus more on posting and reading humorous content.
I was introduced to social media probably at around the age of 9 or 10 when I first got my first phone. I was given unrestricted internet access, so I had a load of different apps that I probably shouldn't have had at that time. I had Kik, which is like a messenger app. I had Musical.ly, I had Instagram, I had Snapchat, kind of the common apps that most teenagers at the time have. And the difference is they were teenagers, I was a kid. There was also lots of adults on those apps at the time, so I was watching and hearing things that kids usually should be monitored before they hear, and I was definitely changed by that, hearing those types of things.
I got social media when I was in 5th grade, but I didn't really start using it until 7th grade. And I can definitely tell now that like my persona has shifted between how I was back then as like a 5th grader compared to like me in middle school. I think it's made me more of a judgmental person, maybe even toxic. It's changed the way I've looked at people sometimes, the way that they dress, the way that they look, and including myself. I always pick at myself for the stuff that I wear, how I look, which I feel is very negative.
I can't really remember, but I know I had Snapchat and Instagram, I think by at the latest like 7th or 8th grade.
and I might not have been active posting on it, but I definitely used it to like look at what other people posted and see what my friends would do.
Another factor contributing to the risk of endangerment among youth is the type of content they consume on social media. Some teens are drawn to posts that encourage unhealthy challenges, such as those found on platforms like TikTok. This influx of new viral challenges have the potential to bring real harm towards participants. Users on social media take part in challenges like the Benadryl Challenge and the Blackout Challenge, where participants willingly put themselves through physical distress. Following negative influencers on social media can also have a detrimental effect on young people's mental health by setting unrealistic standards.
I think that social media does a lot of good. I think it's a great way to communicate with other people. I think it's a great way for, if you struggle making friends in your real life, to find people who have the same common interests as you and really, share your work. But I also think that social media is a weapon. I think most people don't view it that way. They see it, it's just an innocent little app, what harm will it do for my 8-year-old to, be looking on TikTok all day? But I think that it could really be used to do horrific things. I know from my perspective, when I was younger, I met people who I thought were my friends, who I thought I could trust, and I told them things and they happened to, spread that information a lot. And I ended up getting added into group chats where people were telling me to do horrible things to myself, telling me I wasn't worth anything, and, just not really filling my head with horrible things that I shouldn't have been feeling and made me feel a certain way I shouldn't have been feeling as a child. And I think it's really dangerous to have kids who, just the other day I saw like an 11-year-old who had an iPhone with an unrestricted app store, and I think it's really dangerous to let them have the ability to just see and talk to whoever they want. There's lots of predators on the internet. There's lots of people who will prey on young children and how naive they are.
It is essential that we recognize unhealthy behaviors within ourselves and in our peers that resemble any changes signaling depression or suicidal thoughts. As an alternative, parents and even schools should teach teens how to monitor their emotions and help provide safe resources to turn to if they need help.
If you give social media to anyone, especially if you're giving these to kids, it could definitely change how they grow and develop later on, and it could definitely change how they act with people outside of the internet in real life, or just in general. It could affect them as well as an individual, which I feel is super dangerous. And I feel like there should be restrictions on social media for kids. I guess there was sometimes that feeling of being left out of when you look at Instagram and you see all your friends hanging out and it's like, oh, I wish I was with them, and then you think you did something wrong or something like that. It's kind of a bit of FOMO, like fear of missing out, and I think just about everyone our age has gotten that, especially as a result of social media, because you see all the time your friends hanging out, and it might have just been like one of those times where like your friends just were doing something just the two of them, but there's always that thought of like, oh, I wasn't invited, well, why wasn't I invited? And that can really eat away at some people, I think.
Finally, it is important that all forms of cyberbullying are taken seriously. It is crucial to educate teenagers about the harmful effects of cyberbullying. To ensure they are aware of online portals or hotlines where they can find support, we have included the numbers below. By being vigilant about social media use, we can help prevent suicide and encourage healthier behavior online.